world that often speaks in binaries, male or female, man or woman, it can be easy to forget that nature rarely conforms to such strict categories. Yet, nestled quietly in the margins of mainstream conversations about sex, gender, and identity is a reality that challenges these rigid distinctions: intersexuality. While society has long framed sex as a simple matter of XX or XY chromosomes, of being either male or female at birth, the truth is far more nuanced. Intersex people, those born with physical sex characteristics that don't fit typical definitions of male or female, represent a profound and often misunderstood part of the human spectrum. This video aims to introduce you to the complex and diverse reality of intersex identities. Whether you've heard the term before or are encountering it for the first time, what matters is that we begin to ask better questions and listen more deeply. Intersexuality is not a defect or a rarity to be whispered about. It's a natural variation in human biology, just as left-handedness or red hair are. But unlike those traits, intersex people often face social stigma, unnecessary medical interventions, and erasure in public discourse. Their existence calls into question the rigid frameworks we use to define sex, gender, and identity itself. The journey into understanding intersexuality begins with deconstructing assumptions. Many people equate sex with anatomy, external genitalia, chromosomes, or hormones, but biology is far more intricate. For example, someone might have XY chromosomes but appear female, or have ambiguous genitalia that don't align with binary expectations. Others may not discover their intersex traits until puberty or even adulthood. In fact, scientists estimate that about 1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits, comparable to the number of people with red hair. Yet, unlike redheads, intersex individuals often face silence and shame instead of recognition. And this silence is not benign. In the name of normalizing bodies, intersex infants and children have often been subjected to surgeries or hormone treatments without consent, interventions that are not medically necessary but are socially motivated. These actions, meant to fix what isn't broken, reveal more about society's discomfort with ambiguity than about the people being affected. In this video, we're going to peel back the layers of misinformation, fear, and myth that surround intersex lives. We'll explore what it means to be intersex, the history of medicalization and advocacy, and the evolving movement for bodily autonomy and human rights. Most importantly, we'll listen to intersex voices because every story shared is a step toward understanding, and every truth spoken is a seed for change. So, whether you're here to educate yourself, support a friend, or simply expand your understanding of human diversity, welcome. You're exactly where you need to be. Intersex is a natural variation of human biology. When we think of sex, many of us imagine a clear binary, male or female. This belief is so deeply ingrained in society that it shapes our institutions, languages, and even the clothes we wear. But biology, in its vast and complex diversity, doesn't always play by such strict rules. Intersex individuals, people born with physical sex characteristics that don't fit typical definitions of male or female, are living proof of that. Intersex is not a mistake or anomaly. It is a natural variation of human biology that has existed across time, cultures, and continents. Intersex traits can appear in many forms. Some people may have chromosomes that differ from what is typically expected, such as XXY instead of XX or XY. Others might have ambiguous genitalia, hormone levels that don't align with their assigned sex, or internal reproductive anatomy that doesn't match external features. Some intersex traits are visible at birth, while others remain hidden until puberty or even later in life. What they all have in common is that they defy the binary model of sex we've been taught to accept as the only reality. The estimated prevalence of intersex individuals is around 1.7% of the population, a number similar to the percentage of people with red hair. Despite this, intersex people have been historically erased, pathologized, or silenced by medical systems and social norms. The problem is not their bodies, but the discomfort society has with what doesn't fit neatly into either slash or boxes. Rather than celebrating this diversity, many cultures have tried to suppress it through shame, secrecy, or unnecessary surgical interventions, often performed on infants and children without their consent. Recognizing intersex as a natural biological variation is a crucial step in creating a more inclusive and compassionate world. It reminds us that human bodies are not made from cookie-cutter molds. Nature thrives in variation, and our species is no different. The idea that there are only two sexes is a simplification that ignores the rich complexity of real-life biology. Just as there is a wide range of skin tones, body types, and facial features, there is also a wide range of sex characteristics. Accepting this truth doesn't mean rejecting science, it means expanding our understanding of it. Modern biology and genetics have shown us that sex is not solely determined by chromosomes, genitalia, or hormones, but by the interaction of many factors. These scientific insights confirm what intersex people have known all along, that they are whole, valid, and natural just as they are. To support intersex individuals, we must move beyond outdated assumptions and embrace the full spectrum of human diversity. Education, visibility, and empathy are key. Intersex people are not mistakes to be fixed. They are unique individuals who deserve respect, rights, and recognition. Their existence teaches us that nature doesn't limit itself to binaries. Intersexuality challenges the sex binary system. For centuries, society has organized human beings into two distinct and opposing categories, male and female. This system, commonly referred to as the sex binary, forms the basis for many social, legal, and cultural structures around the world. From birth certificates to bathrooms, clothing to expectations of behavior, we are told that there are only two ways to exist physically, as a man or as a woman. But intersexuality, an umbrella term describing people born with physical sex traits that don't fit typical male or female classifications, challenges this binary in profound and transformative ways. Intersexuality is not a modern invention, nor is it a rare biological anomaly. In fact, researchers estimate that about 1.7% of the global population is born with intersex traits, meaning their bodies contain a mix of genetic, hormonal, or anatomical characteristics that don't fit conventional notions of male or female. This could include a person with XY chromosomes but female external genitalia, or someone with ambiguous genitals, or even individuals who do not discover their intersex status until puberty reveals unexpected developments. These natural variations remind us that biological sex is far more complex than chromosomes alone. The very existence of intersex people undermines the sex binary by proving that nature doesn't operate in strict opposites. The binary system is socially constructed. It was created to organize people, not to reflect biological truth. Intersex individuals prove that bodies don't always conform to two neat categories, and that diversity is built into the fabric of humanity. Instead of asking, is this person male or female, we begin to understand that this question is too limited. The truth is, some people are both, neither, or somewhere in between. Yet, instead of celebrating this diversity, many societies try to erase it. Intersex infants have historically been subjected to surgeries and hormone treatments designed to make their bodies appear more typically male or female, often without their consent. These practices stem from fear, not science. They reflect a discomfort with ambiguity and a deep-seated need to maintain the illusion of a binary system. But in doing so, we risk causing immense physical and emotional harm to individuals whose bodies were never wrong to begin with. Intersexuality invites us to expand our understanding of identity. It teaches us that sex, like gender, can exist on a spectrum. It shows us that bodies are not mistakes to be corrected, but realities to be respected. When we embrace the full range of human biology, we break free from limiting norms and make room for everyone to live authentically. Ultimately, intersexuality doesn't just challenge the binary, it offers a path toward a more inclusive and compassionate world. By acknowledging the existence and rights of intersex people, we take a powerful step toward dismantling outdated systems. Many intersex people face harmful medical interventions. In the quiet spaces of hospital rooms and behind closed medical charts, many intersex people have faced something profoundly unjust: medically unnecessary interventions performed on their bodies without their consent. These procedures, often conducted in early infancy or childhood, are rooted in the idea that every person must fit neatly into one of two sex categories, male or female. But for intersex individuals, whose biological characteristics fall outside these rigid binaries, this system often results in irreversible surgeries, hormone treatments, and a lifetime of physical and emotional trauma. Intersex people are born with a wide range of sex traits that may include variations in chromosomes, hormones, gonads, or genitalia. These variations are natural, not pathological. However, many doctors, influenced by outdated medical norms and societal discomfort with ambiguity, rush to correct these bodies through surgery or hormone therapy. The goal is usually to assign a definitive sex as early as possible, often without clear medical necessity. Procedures may involve reducing the size of a clitoris, constructing or removing a vagina, or repositioning a urethra, surgeries that are invasive, irreversible, and not life-saving. The harm lies not only in the physical risks, such as loss of sensation, scarring, or sterility, but also in the psychological impact. Intersex individuals who later learn about these surgeries often feel betrayed, violated, and confused. They were given no choice, no voice in a matter that fundamentally shaped their identities and bodies. Many grow up with shame, secrecy, and a sense of not being whole. What was intended to make them normal often leads to alienation and deep emotional wounds. What's more troubling is that these interventions persist despite increasing global criticism. Human rights organizations, including the United Nations and Amnesty International, have condemned these practices as violations of bodily autonomy and dignity. Yet in many countries, including some with advanced healthcare systems, there are still no legal protections preventing these surgeries on intersex infants and minors. The intersex community has long called for a shift in how society and medicine approach intersex bodies. They advocate for a model based on consent, education, and delay of irreversible procedures until the individual is old enough to participate in the decision. In other words, let the child grow up, understand their body, and make informed choices for themselves. This approach honors the person's right to autonomy and respects the natural diversity of human biology. Ultimately, the issue isn't medical, it's cultural. Society must move beyond the fear of bodies that don't fit narrow definitions of sex. We must understand that intersex variations are not problems to be fixed, but differences to be respected. Intersex is not the same as transgender or non-binary. In discussions about gender and identity, the terms intersex, transgender, and non-binary are often mentioned together. While they may share space within the LGBTQIA+ community and intersect in meaningful ways, they refer to fundamentally different experiences. Understanding these distinctions is crucial not only for clarity, but for ensuring respect, inclusion, and accurate representation of diverse human experiences. Intersex refers to a biological reality. Intersex people are born with physical sex characteristics, such as chromosomes, hormone levels, reproductive organs, or genitalia, that don't fit typical definitions of male or female. These traits may be visible at birth, emerge during puberty, or even remain undiscovered until later in life. Intersex is a natural variation in human biology, not a medical problem or gender identity. Just as people can be born with different eye colors or blood types, some are born with intersex traits. It's simply another way the human body can develop. On the other hand, transgender is about gender identity. A transgender person is someone whose gender identity, their deeply felt internal sense of being male, female, or something else, differs from the sex they were assigned at birth. For example, a person assigned male at birth may identify and live as a woman. She is a transgender woman. This experience is about how one understands and expresses their gender, not about physical sex characteristics. While some intersex people may also be transgender, many are not. They may identify with the gender assigned to them or not, But being intersex is not automatically a transgender experience. Non-binary is another category under the broader gender identity umbrella. Non-binary individuals do not exclusively identify as male or female. They may identify as both, somewhere in between, or completely outside the traditional gender binary. Non-binary is a way of expressing one's gender identity that challenges the male-female framework. Like transgender people, non-binary individuals may or may not choose to medically transition, and their identity is defined by their personal experience of gender, not by their biology at birth. So, while intersex is about the body, transgender and non-binary are about identity. The confusion often arises because society tends to conflate sex and gender, treating them as the same. But understanding that intersex people are born with biological variations, while transgender and non-binary people navigate their sense of self and expression of gender, helps us support each group more effectively. Respecting these differences doesn't mean drawing hard boundaries. It means listening, learning, and honoring each person's story. Some intersex people may identify as transgender or non-binary, but others do not. Visibility, education, and advocacy are crucial for intersex rights. In a world that often defaults to binary thinking, intersex individuals remain one of the most misunderstood and overlooked populations. Despite being as naturally occurring as redheads, intersex people, those born with physical sex characteristics that do not fit typical definitions of male or female, are largely invisible in public discourse, medical education, and legal systems. This invisibility is not accidental. It is the product of long-standing social discomfort, institutional neglect, and systemic erasure. In such a context, visibility, education, and advocacy become not only important, but absolutely vital for intersex rights. Visibility is the first step in challenging the silence that has surrounded intersex lives for generations. When intersex individuals are represented in media, politics, healthcare conversations, and educational spaces, it affirms their existence and humanity. Representation tells intersex youth that they are not alone, not broken, and not mistakes. It also helps dismantle the idea that sex and gender must always align within a rigid binary. By seeing intersex people openly share their stories, society is pushed to confront the reality that diversity is not an exception but a norm. However, visibility must be ethical and respectful, amplifying intersex voices, not exploiting them, and centering their lived experiences rather than treating them as curiosities. Education is equally critical. A lack of basic knowledge about intersex variations contributes to stigma, confusion, and harmful medical practices. Many doctors are still taught to correct intersex traits in infancy through unnecessary surgeries designed to make bodies appear more typically male or female. These procedures often ignore the long-term physical and psychological impacts on the child. Comprehensive, science-based education in medical schools, classrooms, and public discourse can challenge outdated ideas and foster a culture of respect and informed decision-making. Moreover, education empowers families to support intersex children with love and understanding, rather than fear or shame. Advocacy ties visibility and education together into meaningful action. Intersex rights advocates around the world are pushing for legal recognition, healthcare reforms, and protection from discrimination. They're demanding an end to non-consensual surgeries on intersex infants, inclusion in anti-discrimination laws, and the right to live openly without fear. Advocacy also involves allies, non-intersex individuals, using their voices to support intersex people, amplify their demands, and challenge the systems that marginalize them. This collective effort is what transforms awareness into policy and empathy into justice. In essence, intersex rights are human rights. But these rights cannot be realized in a vacuum of silence and ignorance. Visibility brings light to hidden truths. As we close this introductory exploration into intersex and intersexuality, we're left with a powerful realization. Nature doesn't ask permission to be diverse. It simply is. And within that beautiful complexity lies the truth of intersex existence. one that defies simplistic categorization and invites us into a more honest understanding of what it means to be human. Throughout history, societies have struggled to accept that not everyone fits neatly into predefined boxes. But every time someone speaks up, resists medical coercion, or reclaims their identity, the world changes bit by bit, story by story. Intersex people are not anomalies or exceptions. They are living, breathing reminders that identity cannot be dictated by anatomy alone. And in acknowledging them, we begin to dismantle a rigid system that harms not only intersex individuals, but anyone who dares to be different. We've talked about the biological reality of intersex traits, the social challenges intersex individuals face, and the courageous advocacy that continues to push for recognition and rights. But this isn't just a lesson in science or human rights. It's a call to shift our collective perspective, to move from asking, "What are you?" to "How can I understand your experience?" To stop policing bodies and start celebrating the richness of variation that exists all around us. The intersex movement is not about demanding special treatment. It's about insisting on basic human dignity. It's about ending unnecessary surgeries on intersex infants. It's about including intersex voices in LGBTQ+ conversations. It's about updating educational systems to reflect scientific reality rather than cultural bias. And it's about making sure that intersex people can live freely without shame, secrecy, or stigma. There is still so much work to be done. Misconceptions remain deeply rooted. Many intersex people continue to suffer in silence, misdiagnosed, or mistreated. But with awareness comes change. Every time we say the word intersex with knowledge and respect, we help break the silence that has held so many captive. So, what can you do next? You can listen. You can learn. You can advocate. You can amplify intersex voices and challenge the systems that demand conformity. Whether that means supporting intersex-led organizations, engaging in honest conversations, or simply choosing not to assume someone's identity based on appearance, it all matters. Small actions ripple outward, and awareness is a powerful first step toward justice. Let's make space for a future where diversity isn't just tolerated, it's honored. A future where every child is accepted as they are, and no one feels the need to hide the truth of their body. A future where the question isn't, "What are you?" but "Who are you, and how can we support your journey?" Thank you for watching and joining us in this essential conversation. If this video inspired you, educated you, or moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.